digital might kill the double page splash, because it's like that was always the most impressive page, and now it's the least impressive digitally.
Welcome to IC3, where we talk about comics, art, and the indie scene.
Whoa! It's great to be here, Matt.
As you can see, Jamie Jones is with me today, and our pre-show conversations are always the best, and I think we just need to make a show out of the pre-show conversations.
If people want to listen to me ramble, then yeah, but I don't know how good that would come off. It's early in the morning. I'm on 2 cups of coffee, or I just started my second cup of coffee, and my brain is on, and it's going.
I wanted to record our intro after we talked to Tom Scioli, because I wanted to reflect on what just happened on Wednesday night for us.
Yeah.
Because it was fun.
Yeah, Tom is one of those creators who makes me want to go and read things. You know what I mean? He's so charismatic and cares so much about stuff that it's exciting to be excited about superheroes and excited about comics. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, prepping for the interview and then actually talking to him, I have a reading list and a watch list and a listen list. Like,
yeah, I have a reading. I have like, when we're talking about reading lists, it's not comic book reading. It's like prose reading. We're diving deep into the Star Trek adaptations.
But Tom Scioli has this book, Space Opera Xanadax Across the Unknown Dimensions of the Galaxy, original graphic novel, volume 1, coming out August 20th from Image Comics. It's 208 pages. It's only $20. Like, and the book,
yeah, and it's well worth. I mean, we read what 50 something pages of it, right? We got the little sampler that he was sending around, and man, is it fun! It's it is. Tom's books are always the most fun. I think that's a thing that I've just recognized, is he does the most fun books, and I think this book is no less than that. It is the most fun.
It's a really good conversation. I hope you guys enjoy it. But I would like to spotlight a few indie creators, because I love perusing the internet, looking for my friends and seeing what they're drawing. And some of my favorite people popped up this week. This Astro Boy sketch from Gregory Oborn, the Melisori friends of Starcat Galaxia. Like, yeah. This, I mean, I like some Astro Boy.
This is great. This is also done on a sketch card, right? Like, this is so tiny. It's fantastic.
Yeah, they pre-printed the Galaxy background, and then it's acrylic paint markers. And then there's like a little note. It's like Mighty Atom, aka Astro Boy.
Astro Boy. Yeah. This is great.
Yeah.
It's paint. Boy. It's a we got to go over that. Pre-printed background, or did they do it first?
No, it says in the description that they pre-printed the Galaxy background and then painted on top of that on a sketch card.
Okay. That's crazy. It looks great.
I found this in their CAF gallery, and go check it out. And then what do we have? A M.A.D.O.K?
But an Alfred E. Newman M.A.D.O.K?
Yeah, it's from Adam Lemna. He was at IC3. He was at Heroes Con. Really nice guy. I didn't realize that his film credits as an editor are pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he worked on Lovecraft Country, Hunters, and then like one of my like goofy HBO shows that I love, Hung, with Thomas Jane from way back in the day. And right now, Adam is working on Relic Hunter 2. But this Alfred E. Newman, like M.A.D.O.K, is glorious.
It's perfect.
A lot of fun.
It's great. A lot of fun. Adam's great. Good guy.
And then,
Solid artist.
and would
We
we
had a
say
great
this
conversation at the end of the show, not about nothing but our girlfriends and wives, and it was it was like we didn't talk about art one bit, and that's how I know you're a good guy. You don't want to talk about art with me? Great, we're done. We've done the show. We're done talking about art. We can just talk about our lives, and that's,
how many wives do you guys have?
you know, harems of wives. This is great.
And we would say this has a Kirby influence, right?
I think everything. If you have a Kirby character, there is a Kirby influence. Even in the way that the shadows are, even in the way that the legs are, like the costuming. If it's a costumed Kirby character, it has a Kirby influence.
There you go. Oh, and I forgot to say,
I realize you're teasing Tom, and I was like, oh yeah.
I'm not teasing Tom. I'm just like, it's like, man, I got chills when Tom talks about Kirby, it's hard not to get chills. Like, it is tough to be like, ooh, this is good stuff. This is really good stuff. And then Anton William Blake is a very nice gentleman. He did the D&D map for IC3 last year. It was glorious. My daughter, side note, my daughter is still very upset that there wasn't an actual dragon in the bathroom. She was like, I have this map and there's no dragon in the bathroom. Can we like fix this next year? But I didn't see his Heroes Con convention donation to the auction. And then I was scrolling through his Instagram and I saw this thing.
Yeah.
And this is so beautiful. And I really want to find out who won it and like what it went for. And I hope how they framed it, where it's sitting in the room and how it makes them happy. Like, I want to know everything about this picture and how it's affecting somebody's life, because it's really, it's got a lot of stuff that I like.
I want to know what he used to paint this. Part of it looks like Posca markers. Part of it looks like it could just be gouache. The glow around the eyes is really impressive. Yeah, I'm curious in this piece too. The shadowing is really great. It really gives you the dynamic lighting that you need for something like this.
You know, little footnote. If you go to his Instagram, he does have a process video.
For this piece particularly?
For
great.
This piece.
I'll be there in a couple of minutes.
I will drop that link in the description of this video. If you want to get featured on IC3 and you're an indie creator, you know, either tag me on Instagram or start a CAF gallery on Comic Art Fans and start uploading your work. There are so many amazing art collector fans on Comic Art Fans to where like you're doing a disservice if you're not putting your original indie art on there. So definitely get it up there. I love going through there. It's for me, it's almost the same feeling as like thumbing through back issues for me now with Comic Art Fans, because I also put together like the top 5 most viewed art pieces weekly on Thursday. That's like my new little thing that I do on social media. And so I'm always digging through all the different art pieces. And then like I did like a Donna Rosen, I don't know why I want to call him Donna
Rosa.
Every time I see his name, I want to be like Donna Ross, and I'm like Diana Ross. It's like really gets screwed up in my head. But I was thumbing through all that, and so when I'm going through comic art, when I'm going through the files, and I get to see who's posting it, I'll see like where it's like remarked like to so and so, and then they like in the description I read the history of it. So there's like a huge story, and you know how empathetic I am with this stupid stuff, right? Where I'm just like, oh my god, I'm in this guy's life now, like
yeah.
But it's a cool experience, and the same thing. I really like doing this for looking for indie art as well. You know, I'm putting together some stuff with Hilary Barta, and you know, I didn't realize that he was inking all the Liefeld stuff at the time. And there's a crazy history that goes on when you start looking at original art pages, and it's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and Tom has been working in the industry for 25 years now. I guess that starts off the interview, and we have a wide, vast stretch of time for his work that we look at.
Yeah, I was. You gave me the book to read, and I got to the end, and I like button mashed because I wanted more pages to it. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, how many pages is it in total?
The whole book is 224 pages. But then there's also Princess, the comic I did, Princess, a bunch of years ago. That's like a backup feature because that's never been published in print. And that's like maybe around 28, 30 pages or something. So subtract that. There's only a tiny amount of like process stuff. There's like a few pages of like sketches and things. But I decided this time around, I thought like, okay, I have a certain amount of pages set aside for bonus stuff. And I thought, well, I could fit a whole other comic in there. So,
yeah.
You know, and I had Princess, which is something I'm like so proud of and just, you know, never saw print. So
when did you do Princess?
That was, I think that was right before I did the Jack Kirby comic.
Okay.
And again, it was after Superpowers, before Jack Kirby, I guess before, Fantastic Four Grand Design also. So it was kind of like trying to figure out my next move after Superpowers ended. And so that was one option, was to do this thing and do it as like a series. You know, and I was just talking to a bunch of different people, and IDW was interested in publishing it. I'd never done an original creator-owned series with them before. But then also, you know, I was also in the process of, you know, talking to publishers about the Jack Kirby book. So it reached a point where I kind of had to choose. So I went with Jack Kirby, but I had this, you know, full, you know, complete issue that I was just, you know, really proud of. But, you know, I wasn't about to start like a series at the same time as I'm making this Jack Kirby biography.
Sure. That was, so I am a fan of yours and have been a fan of yours for a while. American Barbarian is one of my favorite comics.
Thank you.
Period. And you switch from doing like ink work to doing like the pencil under, like coloring under the pencil stuff. When does that switch happen? When did, like, what was the purpose for it? What was your reasoning?
Well, American Barbarian was like a step towards it. Because I had been doing sort of, like slick inking, you know, my whole career, and on Godland, you know, Godland's probably like the biggest example of that because it's glossy paper, slick inking, you know, spectacular computer coloring, you know, and then American Barbarian, I did a version of like the first, you know, 20 or so pages of American Barbarian the same way with like the black ink, and it just wasn't clicking for me somehow. And I thought like, I gotta turn down the intensity of black. I gotta maybe turn it into a color. So the line work in American Barbarian, it's still like a dark line, but it's actually like a super dark, greenish blue. And that, like, I like that. I like the way that looked. I like that so much. Like, I thought the comic worked so much better that way than with the sort of deep black line. So it was just, you know, I continued down that path of like, I'm trying to figure out a way to make the line that's so much a part of comics, make it work for me.
Yeah.
And I was trying all these different things. And again, like going full black just wasn't working for me. And so I tried colors. So American Barbarian, that was a solution that worked. And then I was trying like razor blades to like cut away at the ink, you know, to kind of, you know, distress it, mess with it a little. And then eventually, you know, it just occurred to me that like, oh, well, a pencil has exactly that quality I'm looking for. It gives you like a line that's clear and reads as a line, but it's also got all this, you know, if you zoom in on it with a microscope, it's got all these little explosions of graphite going on. So that ended up being the solution for what I was looking for.
and my history with work is a little different than Jamie's, because I owned a comic book store in Chicago from 2006 to 2011, and I remember people being like, "Hey," and I was a very narrow-minded comic book nerd, Big Two, stuff like that, and so people were like,
Yeah.
people were building out, pull lists, and people would add Godland, and I'd be like, "Okay, what is going on here?" And I'd check things out, and like my horizons expanded from owning the comic store. But I remember like getting GoBots, somebody being like, "I want GoBots." I was like, "What is this?" My brain was not ready for you at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But to now, I was hilarious. I was just, I can't believe the time for me is going by so quickly. So for Godland, it's been like 20 years. And,
yeah. Godland was 20 years, 2005.
And that's crazy. So what is something you wish was still going on in now from 2005?
Things that I wish was now going on. I guess one thing is I wish The Walking Dead was still being published, because I feel like that got a lot of people into the comic store, and it was like a rising tide that lifted all boats. So that would be like maybe the big thing I'd be thinking of. Just, back then you had, Joe Quesada was running Marvel. I mean, not that, Marvel's not doing fine now, but again, that was, that kind of, that's a piece of the puzzle that's kind of like was happening then and isn't happening now. You had, Grant Morrison was like a lot more active too. I mean, he's coming back. Like he's going to be doing, I guess, like a Batman or something. He's got something cooking, but he was very prolific back then. All these things, you add them together and it gets people into comic stores, and it makes it feel like comics is really hopping. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's something for everybody, and, so that was going on back then.
No, I mean, because for me, this isn't comic books aren't a competition. It's never been a competition, but I started seeing people talk about different eras of indie comics and all this stuff, and how the aughts weren't that good. But the aughts inspired me to open up a comic book store, because you had like Mark Waid doing stuff over at Boom, and you had, The Walking Dead was our #1 selling book.
Yeah.
I made a Walking Dead TV commercial for the comic book shop. I'm trying to think of the other books that were just like going crazy, but Bendis was doing all the stuff with New Avengers. All the writers were like rising up at that point in time, and for me, I was like, this is a glorious time, and I was inspired to open up a store, and it was amazing. And again, it opened up my world to where we are right now today, which is amazing. But I look at like how easy it is to make a book now, and I was like, man, I really wish it was like that 20 years ago, with all the digital printing and the digital ways that things have moved. So it's really interesting to compare the 20 years, and congrats to 20 years in the comic industry.
Thanks. Yeah, it's actually 25, because Myth of 8 Opus was July 2000. So this month is my 25th anniversary of making comics and being distributed in the Diamond Previews catalog and that, all that stuff.
Congrats.
Thanks.
Space Opera Xanadax is the title, right?
Well, it's Space Opera Xanadax Across the Unknown Dimensions of the Galaxy is the title. But I know that's a mouthful, so however you need to abbreviate it works.
And what's the street date?
It's August something. It's I don't know if it has like an exact date yet, but it's August. We just approved it to go to print, so it might be printing right this moment. Nice. But just like I think it was yesterday, we were talking and about to press that button that gets it going, and there's no turning back. That just happened yesterday. So that's when you ask me how I'm doing. Like, I'm doing great. When that happens, it's a great feeling.
What is your process to get to that point, right? Like, do you work with an editor? Do you have a close group of colleagues that you send stuff to and not necessarily proofread, but like story beat read or things like that? Or are you just shucking and jiving? And
well, this was like a pandemic project. This was something I started, I think, in 2020. And again, it was just back then. At that point, I didn't have any work. A lot of people didn't have work in comics and obviously other fields. so I was just doing all kinds of stuff and doing it on my Patreon. That's when I started my Patreon, was around that time. And so it was just like whatever inspiration struck me, I'd work on. I had a couple different projects that I was toying around with. And so that was one that I kind of was, on a track with, had all my attention. So the sort of beta testing or whatever was happening on Patreon, just sort of putting it out, getting reactions, and just seeing it there, and just knowing that people are looking at it kind of makes your brain do certain things. And I got it to a certain point, but didn't quite finish it until Eric Stevenson contacted me and said, like, okay, this is a go, because I pitched it around that time too. Like I pitched it, 2020, 2021, around there or whatever. And then it wasn't until last year that it got approved. So it had been gestating all that time. And then when it got approved, then it was like, okay, time to finish it. So I sat down and finished it. And then I finished it again. Like I kind of, which is really nice. Like that's the best creative process, I think, for getting the best results consistently, is to work on something, put it away, come back to it, work on it some more, put it away, come back. Like, so I got to do that a few times. So yeah. That's
great. That's the Stephen King method, right? That's what he talks about in writing. He's like, I write a novel, I put it away for 3 months or to a year, and write another novel. And by the time that I'm done writing this other novel, I can go back and re-edit and rewrite it.
Sometimes you don't have that option. Like when you're doing a series, you don't have that option. But again, a different kind of magic comes out of that process.
And then, so now that I know that, like, the process, one of my questions was, like, on certain pages, the panels are very rigid. Certain pages, like, the panels are organic and all over the place. Like, is that more of like a feel, or how does that kind of go? I think I have.
I mean, I'm generally like an intuitive creator, so it is a lot of like, okay, this just feels right.
Okay.
For a lot of that kind of stuff, it is. Usually at the beginning, I have this idea of like, okay, I'm going to do this way. But you reach a certain point in the process where, you're, whatever, like your creative intuition takes over, and then, and then it gets really good. Like that's when the process like starts to feel magical.
How much of your work is planned out versus you just attacking it on the page?
I mean, I try to get as like solid a plan as I can get as possible at the beginning. I do, I have notes, I have beats, sometimes, sketches, like it's kind of, just all over the place at that. But I do try to make as much of a roadmap as I can. And I try to have sort of like a finished roadmap, but usually before that roadmap gets completely finished or completely polished, I just get restless and antsy to like start executing. So then I'll start like making some pages, and maybe I'll make some pages in the middle. Maybe I'll make some pages at the beginning. Maybe I'll make some pages at the, but I just start making pages. And then as that takes over. Yeah. And then as I'm doing that, the larger picture, sometimes, that starts falling into place too. So that's been, the past few things I've been working on kind of went like that.
And you talked about magical happenings here. When I got to this page, I was like, oh shit, I went into movie mode. And can you talk about like that kind of storytelling where you kind of do the build up and then you do the big like, ta-da, and then, how did that?
Yeah, that was, I was making like an excerpt of it to send, to people to check out. And that just felt like, that's a good place to stop,
So this was kind of your pitch.
By then it had already been approved. This was sort of like a teaser that I was just sending out to various, places, to sort of, give people an idea. And I also sent it to friends too. I sent it to like you were asking about peers and things to kind of get, like I sent it, like I felt like that was like enough. Like I didn't need, to send out the whole thing. I felt like that was enough to know whether like what I'm doing is, if I'm on the right track or not. And,
And so I really geek out when I read a comic book. And so my head kind of plays a score as well when this is going on,
Mhm.
like, because you call it a space opera. So like I've got the music. When you're putting this together, do you feel that, or is that just a me thing as a reader?
Yeah, no, music's a big part. I'm trying to remember what was, a lot of electronica and stuff for this. But ones that specifically come to mind is when I was working on Transformers versus G.I. Joe, I specifically, I put on Lou Reed's Transformer. But the thing that kept going through my head as I was working on it was AC/DC's Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. And just that riff, just over and over, that riff would just go through my head, that boom, boom, boom. Because it felt so aggressive and war, cosmic war, this giant interplanetary war with all these, scowling, soldiers with their, helmets turned, it just that felt, so that was a thing that was playing in my head at least. And then for Fantastic Four Grand Design, there's a Jefferson Airplane song called My Plastic Fantastic Lover. So that kept playing through my head for that. So yeah, music is part of it.
You've done a lot of toy property stuff, G.I. Joe, GoBots, Superpowers, all of these things. All of your books kind of have this quality of playing with toys and playing with action figures. And even in this new one, you have this one Wolverine claw type guy. Mm-hmm. It felt like a little kid playing with a Wolverine, but you had a giant robot. And to make it make sense, he's in space and he's got laser claws, right? You have this magical little kid quality logic, which is the swords coming together in American Barbarian felt very much like that. When do you I guess why? How do you do this? That's my question.
I mean, those examples you're bringing up, because I wasn't really thinking of toys with this one, but those examples you bring up, like American Barbarian, I was very specifically thinking of toys. I was thinking of the Masters of the Universe swords that they're like puzzle pieces. There's a female and a male, and you put them together and they form the whole sword. And then there was Black Star had a similar kind of a little swords you put. So I was definitely thinking of toys with that one. Obviously thinking of toys with Transformers versus G.I. Joe. But going back to that was a thing that appealed to me about Jack Kirby's style. So it might also be something I picked up from Jack Kirby, because I felt that's the way he drew his figures. They felt just really nicely articulated action figures. Literally action, they were literally figures built for action. But that I was sort of aware of that as one of the things that drew me to Kirby. I guess some just regarding this particular project, a big thing that was in my head was again, it was pandemic, so I was had a lot of sort of comfort food in terms of media. So I was watching a lot of cartoons from the 60s. I was watching a lot of these the old superhero cartoons. And then there was also this thing in the late 60s when Marvel Comics were booming, and it was sort of the second wave of superheroes. And you'd get these Saturday morning cartoons like Space Ghost, the Galaxy Trio, Birdman. You'd get these things where they were superheroes that you never heard of. They were kind of made up for TV superheroes, but then they wouldn't be headquartered on Earth and fight criminals. They'd be headquartered in space. And so instead of the bad guys busting out of jail, or they bust out of this space station, or so it kind of grew out of that, just being in that headspace of a sci-fi superhero-y, kind of thing where, Earth, like who knows what's going on Earth, but there's a bunch of stuff going on in this, you know, on this space station or whatever.
And so you made me watch an old show after reading this and also researching this. In like 1982, Starbirds came out, and it was the robot was called Dynamo. So I thought the show was called Dynamo, and I made my parents try to look for it all the time. But it was on HBO. So when I went to my grandparents' house, I watched it all the time, and I was 6-year-old. And so when I got to the pirate, where's the pirate page? But when I got to the pirate page, it totally took me back to like late 70s, like anime. You know, it definitely had a Voltron feel as well to it. When was Little Tom's first experience with anime, and what was it?
Anime, I mean, it might have been Star Blazers. Again, I didn't think of that as anime at the like it didn't, you know, Star Blazers and Speed Racer and stuff. I mean, again, it was just like those were just cartoons. I didn't think of them as being, you know, like different in any way. But Mighty Orbots was one too. Like it was an American show, but it had sort of like an anime look to it, and it felt like it was like animated in a different way than other Saturday morning cartoons were. And then Voltron. There was Voltron and stuff. I mean, I didn't become like aware of anime until Akira. You know, in the 90s, but like those were some of the early things that I experienced.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, you know, the 80s, because your parents would just let you in a video store, and like if it was a cartoon, they'd probably let you rent it. Nobody was checking to see if it was stuff. But,
right. Yeah.
So it was a fun time for me as a kid. But you're right. I didn't learn the word anime until, you know, way older. But like going back, I'm like, oh, this was, you know, I read today that Starbirds was just the movie was just a mashup of the series where they just shortened it down into a movie. And I was like, oh man, now I got to go back and watch the series and see how it goes. But it's very interesting how I call it emotional baggage to a comic book, and I project all this stuff on your book. And I had a very enjoyable ride. So I'm happy, you know.
Cool. Yeah. Another one was, it's called Ulysses, you know, 40 something. It was Greek mythology, but in space. So it was like, it might not have been, anime. It looked like anime, but it might have been like, I don't know, like an Italian production or like a Korean production or something. But it was that was another one that made an impression. And I mean, it looked like anime. It was again, it was Odyssey or Ulysses trying to find his way home from this like space war, and he's got like a spaceship full of frozen, like his people, his crew are all like frozen in the spaceship.
I gotta look that up. That sounds...
It's very cool. Yeah,
right
I checked it out recently, and it's better than average. Yeah. Like it's pretty cool.
Tom, you wear your influences on your sleeve, right? You've got a lot of Kirby, a lot of Ditko.
Yeah.
A lot of the books that you make, you seem to pastiche a lot of their tropes in the way that they do stories. Where do you find the line between pastiche and Tom? How are you going about doing certain things?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, it was just kind of stages. It was just the same thing with figuring out the line, like the pencil line, because like Myth of 8 Opus was just me trying to like erase myself and just become Kirby, like just try to make it. But still, like I seeped in there, like I'm still in there. But you know, the intent was to erase me and just make it like full Kirby. And then, like I feel like it got less and less as it went on. Like so, Godland was like less of that. There was like a little more of me. And then when I did American Barbarian, to me that didn't even look like Kirby, like from my eyes. But you know, people see Kirby in it, so obviously it's there more than I'm aware of or than I was. But to me, I felt like I departed substantially from Kirby when I did that. But still, I guess there's, you know, enough like Kirby in me that it came out that way. But I feel like each thing got me sort of further and further away from it. Like the Jack Kirby and Stan Lee biographies, I feel like are pretty removed, like stylistically are pretty removed
Yeah.
Especially the Stan Lee one, are pretty removed from that Jack Kirby thing. And then I guess this project, because it's space, superhero-y, adventure kind of stuff, I feel like maybe, yes, some of that stuff comes back in, like the Kirby-isms and the Ditko-isms, creep back in just because it fits the subject matter.
What are you looking at now, moving forward and doing, adding to the gravy that is Tom Scioli?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what the next thing's going to be. Like, I'm working on Twilight Zone right now, and that's taking up all my time. And so I was looking at a lot of Twilight Zone episodes and stuff. But when that's over, I don't know what the next thing is. I don't really have like anything lined up, like, which is nice. It'll be like, I might even take a month off, when I'm done this. But I don't. So yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I don't know what's gestating. I mean, just like Space Opera Xanadax was something that I felt like I'd just put to the side and wasn't thinking about it. And it wasn't until Eric Stevenson said, "Hey, let's do that," that I kind of dusted it off. So I have other stuff like that if somebody or maybe internally, if it felt right, I could sort of dust off and like take it those last 50 yards or whatever that I have to do to get it finished. So yeah, I don't know. As far as what I'm looking at it, I mean, I'm reading a lot of just like novels, just like prose, just like books, and particularly movie adaptations, particularly Star Trek movie adaptations. I'm also I've been playing this game called Dungeons of Daggerath, which is this dungeon crawler game from 1982 that was made only for the Radio Shack color computer, which is what I had when I was a kid. And so I was always kind of fascinated with this game, but it was just way too, I just couldn't do it when I was a kid. It was just, way beyond me. And so I've kind of rediscovered that, and it's like super addictive. So I'm kind of, I don't know, that might fuel something. Like I'm kind of in this mode where I'm just going around this like dungeon that's got these like really, really rudimentary graphics, but that are like incredibly effective, and it's kind of creepy, and it's got like your heartbeat going. So it feels like that might take me somewhere.
Yeah,
hopefully, because otherwise it's just wasted time. But I'm okay with that too. I'm okay with wasting time too, because you need that, to nourish yourself.
Yeah, the intake is just as important as the output.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a sketchbook guy? Do you keep a sketchbook constantly? You seem to be working. Everything seems like you're just putting stuff out. And it's does it go to a sketchbook? Does it not go to a sketchbook? Does it just go to a finished page?
Yeah, no, I spend a lot of time with my sketchbook. I mean, my iPad kind of became my sketchbook for a while. I just like draw something in there, and then it's real easy to take that image and then like make it into something like a finished page. But I also keep sketchbooks. I mean, I keep like a diary too, like just kind of write down my dreams and write down little and on paper, because I did find it was helpful, just in terms of just like your general well-being, to kind of have something that's like separate from a screen, something that is paper and you can look at. So I did a lot of sketching for this Twilight Zone story. There was like a lot of sketching for that, and various other stuff.
I need to know more about this guy.
Okay, yeah, sure. That's the idea. This, this kind of man of mystery. And they're like, one of the things, I mean, the book changed a good deal since then. Like, I mean, a lot of what you read is more or less, what's it, but there is some like filling in, that there are some flashbacks and things that, are part of the finished book that weren't part of that when I made that sort of sampler that like I hadn't. So you are going to find out more about this guy. He's still, a large part of the appeal is that man of mystery, and again, these men of mystery characters, we could name a bunch of them. The more you find out about them, it reaches a point where it's diminishing returns. So like, but.
So how are you pronouncing his name?
Volkanikov. Yeah. I mean, he's, he's just, he's this, out of control, sort of like man mountain, this like just giant, like seething embodiment of like unchecked power and greed and anger, that just is going to destroy everything. Like you gotta keep this guy contained, but the question is, can you? And so people try, but he's unstoppable. I don't have there isn't flashbacks with that guy. That guy, like his first appearance is in that, and you don't get a ton of backstory. He's just like a force of nature. He's like, Doomsday, right. Or I'm trying to think of other comparable, Calabac, just like one of these, just like this, barely, like more than human, but not quite human.
Because when I was reading it, my brain was going through the Rolodex of like movie villains and cartoon villains and trying to find his voice, and I couldn't find his voice when I was like,
to me it's just really deep and loud and bellowing like a roar. Not Darkseid's voice, not that gravelly kind of thing, but just like a loud like windstorm, like a tornado or something.
Part of this was I was going to do This Is Your Life.
Where
I have a couple commissions.
Oh, commissions. Okay, yeah. So this one was, it was somebody wanted a Doctor Strange commission, the Doctor Strange one, and that was again I tried doing it vertically the way I normally would do a commission, and it just wasn't working for me. But then I turned it sideways, and it's like, oh yeah, you gotta do Doctor Strange in his world. Like you got to do him in the dark dimension or whatever with Dormammu.
Yeah. So this is from 2005.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, I wouldn't have been able to guess that.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, all this stuff it doesn't feel like that long ago. It feels like maybe 10 years ago at the most, not 20 years. So that's that one. And then another creator was telling me that they had to draw Doctor Strange for like a comic, and they were searching reference, and then that came up. They're like, oh, I saw your Doctor Strange. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. That you just look for Doctor Strange, and that's one of the things that comes up. And then this Galactus one.
So with this Doctor Strange, like this is Tom at full Kirby mode. Is this full Kirby mode? Yeah, like I'm doing at the time I'm doing Godland. So I'm working full Kirby mode. There is a point, like you'll find a point in my commissions where I'm trying to move away from, like very deliberately trying to move away from Kirby, which again probably isn't the healthiest thing either. Like to like you just got to let yourself go where you're going to go. You can't. But there was a point in Godland where I thought, okay, we did the Kirby thing. Let's start doing something else, just for whatever reason. So, that's full Kirby mode. Yeah, then there's a Fantastic Four movie coming out soon. Yes. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I saw Superman and I loved it, and so it got me, even more pumped for Fantastic Four, because I'm kind of like, okay, I want more of this. I want more, sort of like colorful, fun, back to basics superhero movies. It's kind of funny that they're both coming out the same month, because there's so many parallels between the two of them, because they're both like the first. Like you could call Submariner the first, but Fantastic Four is the first of like Marvel comics, the first of like the 60s stuff. So they're the first, and then you got Superman, who's the first, and then they're both like, even though they're the first, and there was a time when they were like the most popular, that time is long in the past. And so they have this reputation and this historic importance to the larger culture and to their companies and their fandoms or whatever. But they're not, they're not the hottest, like until now, maybe, like now Superman's pretty hot. But I wonder if that's going to, fade kind of quickly, a little bit like Batmania in 1989. Like Batmania was like red hot, and it was cool to wear Batman stuff. Like, it was cool. But then there's like those of us who wanted that to last forever, you know, and it didn't last as long as, you know, we wanted it to.
No, I went to a snobby high school, and like in 1990, I wore my Batman shirt, and it was already out. It was already
exactly
out.
right. But I tried to get as much mileage out of that, you know, Batman stuff as possible, because I wanted it. Like, I was into it before, I was into it after, and I wanted it to just keep going. But yeah, everybody moved on. So let's enjoy this Superman moment, and then maybe a Fantastic Four moment too. You know, we'll see.
Yeah, and so you have this Fantastic Four commission. It's from Heroes Con 2020 or 2013. The owner is Anthony Gonzo, but This is a very clean, pretty Galactus Silver Surfer.
2013. Okay, yeah. So that's that's right before Transformers versus G.I. Joe. So I might not I may or may not have gotten the news that I'm doing Transformers versus G.I. Joe. I think like the Kirby style hangs in there a lot longer on my commissions than it does in my comics, because I think like in terms of my personal style and where I wanted to go with my comics, which is like the most important thing for me, I'd sort of moved past it. But I did understand that when people would buy a commission, they wanted a little bit of that, you know, Kirby magic, you know, in there. So,
and that's the thing with this 2014 Black Panther commission. I saw this and I was like, oh, I want this so bad.
yeah. That's I don't know if you know Jason Wood from 11 O'Clock Comics. That's his. He bought that.
Oh, okay.
One. He bought that one. Yeah, and he's like a big Black Panther fan, and so again, I might not have been doing like a Kirby style in my comics at that point, but also it is really fun. Like, I love drawing in that Kirby style. Like, it's just fun for me. And if you're going to do the Black Panther, at that point, at least I was like, it's got to be that 70s, you know, Kirby version with the 6 million year old man.
What are you using to ink these? What's your pen of choice?
Yeah, it was a Series 7 Winsor Newton. The brush that everybody tells you to use, like the brush that Mike Royer used. Yeah. That's what I was using for that. And then I forget which ink. I mean, I eventually moved over to Higgins Black Magic ink, but I think back then I was using like a Winsor Newton ink also. It was this like black ink that was really thick and had like, had this very like reflective and sticky. It was very, very thick ink. But I couldn't really find that anymore. And eventually the quality of the Series 7 brushes stopped being any good. So I eventually stopped, brush inking altogether. Although I recently, again, this is mainly for commissions and conventions and stuff, but I've started inking again, using Higgins Black Magic and then using a brush pen. Mm-hmm. So I'll use the brush pen, and then when the brush pen runs out, I'll just dip it in the ink and then cap it back up, which is good, for going to shows and stuff. So that's what I've been using lately. And then I would use Micron pens, or like the equivalent, like other brands equivalent to Micron pens.
I'm always love like the behind the scenes stuff. Like, what is like the trending commissions that people are like asking for now? Like,
I mean, I've done like variations on that Galactus that you saw. Like, there's a lot of requests for Galactus, or Galactus and Silver Surfer, or, sometimes if somebody asks for a Galactus, I, put the Silver Surfer in there too, just because it just feels right. But that's a popular one is Galactus and the Silver Surfer. I've been getting a lot more also of like some of those like 90s retro characters, like like the Alan Moore Supreme stuff from Alan Moore Supreme, stuff from 1963. That sort of, it's like a double nostalgia. It's like a nostalgia for the early 90s, nostalgia for 60s Marvel, 60s Kirby, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, those have been things that have been popping up more. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, and Transformers and GI Joe. Like, I guess because because Transformers and GI Joe are kind of hot at the moment with like the new incarnation of it. So I've been getting a lot of those too. Again, because of my connection and just,
this is my this is where I go nerdy deep. Like, do you have a favorite GI Joe character?
Yeah, I mean, it's Snake Eyes, but that's kind of obvious. That's again, like, my favorite Transformer is Optimus Prime. So that's like, I'm not breaking any new ground there. But I mean, I like Dr. Venom a lot for whatever reason. I like Tunnel Rat, which I think is Tunnel Rat. I think he's Larry Hama's favorite. I like Billy. I like Cobra Commander. I like Serpentor. All those crazy ones. I mean, he's not necessarily my favorite or one of my favorites, but I'm blanking on his name. But there's the Transformer who talks real fast. I'm trying to remember who that. Blur. That's it. Blur.
The guy from Micro Machines.
Yeah, the Micro Machines guy is his voice, Blur. But I do find myself gravitating towards him, and I feel like if I ever did like a Transformers solo story, it would be Blur. It would like revolve around Blur.
That's cool. I mean, like, I mean, again, speed characters, the Flash doing all.
Yeah, exactly. Because that would be the thought. He's like the Flash. Yeah. He would be the Flash of the Transformers universe. So you get to tell all those Flash stories. And it would be completely fresh to the Transformers audience. Like they haven't read like Gardner Fox or Julie Schwartz or whatever. So you can pull out all those greatest hits.
I love asking indie creators that when you put out like a property like Space Opera Xanadax, like, what's it going to be like when somebody shows up at your table dressed like Xanadax?
Well, that's interesting. Like, I thought that was going to happen with American Barbarian. I still haven't seen one person dress up as American Barbarian. Although maybe that, just that Barbarian costume, like, it shows a little too much skin and people maybe don't feel comfortable putting that on. But I thought for sure that's when it was going to start happening. So yeah, it hasn't, I did, when I was working on Transformers and G.I. Joe, I would get a kick out of seeing people cosplaying as the G.I. Joe characters and the Transformers characters, because it felt like, oh wow, that was just on my drawing board and here it is. But it's like not, it's not, those aren't mine, even though for that moment it felt like they were mine.
I need to know who's your favorite one? Who's your favorite Jack Kirby character? And two, if you had to recommend a Jack Kirby book, I guess starting point for people, what do you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite, and I think this is my answer for like favorite superhero also, is Orion of the New Gods. Like, that's just my favorite. When people ask you who your favorite superhero is, they're not looking for that. Same as with with like Transformers or whatever, or G.I. Joe. Like, if somebody asks you your favorite G.I. Joe character and you said Dr. Venom, like, they're not looking for that. Like, they're looking for Superman, Wonder Woman, like, they're looking for somebody they've heard of. So like, in that case, it would be like Superman, I guess I would say, is my favorite superhero. But like, Orion really is. Like, Orion's my favorite superhero. And so he's my favorite Jack Kirby. And so then New Gods is my favorite Jack Kirby series. I think New Gods, and I'm so glad it exists, where you can like buy just, here's the New Gods. Because that's always been like my recommendation. If you want to check out Kirby, check this stuff out first. But it was always like, it was never as easy as it is now. Now you can go to the comic book store and they have a volume called The New Gods, and they can get it, where before that just didn't exist. And then it only existed in black and white. And then it only existed as part of this like mega epic that had all this other stuff mixed in. Like, you can just get The New Gods. So that's where I'd send people, New Gods. I mean, Mr. Miracle might be more accessible because it's just like it's called Mr. Miracle, and there's Mr. Miracle, and you get to read about Mr. Miracle. And it's also excellent. Like, it's also, but New Gods, would be my top one. I mean, it's pretty much all gone. Like, you can't really find it anymore. But Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, the thing that I did like with the Kirbys, that's a great starting point too, because it's Jack Kirby's first comic of that type. It's like Jack Kirby's first sort of sci-fi epic. It's really good, and it's by a young Jack Kirby. So it's like, that's a really nice starting point too. And it's very self-contained. It's like very, like Flash Gordon or something. It's very, very accessible.
I forgot about that book entirely, and now we're coming at the end of it. How did that come about? How did you get to it? How did you get to be able to do it? How much of it was Kirby? How much of it was you redrawing and reformatting stuff? And
yeah, I mean, I'd say it's probably like 90% Kirby and 10% me. But it was something I was just doing for fun. Like it was, just like that's comics is my hobby too. It's my job and it's also my hobby. So I was, it was just like, it was something I saw sort of like, oh, I really want to see that, because I was, working on the Jack Kirby book and the Stan Lee book. I'm reading all these old comics from the 30s and from the 40s and the 50s. And I was looking through that when I was doing the Stan Lee thing. I was actually, I don't want to get too much in the weeds, but I was looking at something that Marvel published that was related to that. But I was looking at it, and I'm like, this stuff's amazing. It's so great. And no, it's not really appreciated. Like, I didn't even appreciate it because, like, I'd seen it a million times and just kind of thought, oh, yeah, there's a charming little old Jack Kirby thing. But when I was really looking at it closely, I was like, these images are as beautiful as anything Kirby's drawn. The writing is as good as anything Kirby's written. It's just in this, like, really horrible format. Like, it's colored really badly, inked really badly, and then arranged bad. Like, it was bad comics. Mm-hmm. It was one of Jack Kirby's first comic books that he did, and it was just bad comics. It was, we talk about pleasurable ways of arranging the images to foster like an enjoyable reading experience, and it didn't have that. It had beautiful images, beautiful words, and I thought, all you got to do is fix that part, like, untangle it from this bad, golden age, when nobody really knew how to make a comic book. Comic books were brand new. Nobody knew how to make a good. So I thought, if you just took this, made it into a good reading experience, you'd be able to put this next to Jack Kirby's great works. So that was something I was doing for fun, for my own enjoyment. Yeah. And I got, a few pages into it, and I thought, this thing's really working. And I thought, Image might want to publish this, because they've published some weird stuff that's in that, like golden age stuff. So then I contacted Image. They said, yeah, we want to publish this. And then, they told me how to get in touch with the Kirbys, because I wanted to, get the Kirbys involved. I didn't want to do this without the Kirbys. So, I got in touch with them, and then, it went from there.
That's awesome.
That's really, who has the thunderstorm?
That's me. It's right outside. It's like right here in Pittsburgh. Yeah. If you want to know, I'm in Pittsburgh, and it is thundering outside.
I'm in Florida, and it is also thundering outside. So.
Okay. Well, maybe we're getting it in stereo, but I'm hearing it really well here.
I know you didn't grow up in Pittsburgh, but how influential was Mr. Rogers' neighborhood?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I didn't know Mr. Rogers was a Pittsburgh thing, because we had Mr. Rogers when I was a kid. Like, in Philadelphia, we watched Mr. Rogers. I loved Mr. Rogers. And it wasn't until I moved to Pittsburgh, and then everybody in Pittsburgh thinks that you never heard of Mr. Rogers because you're not from Pittsburgh. They're like, we got this guy here. Like, they assume all kinds of other stuff. Like, they assume you know what a gum band is and what Jumbo is. They assume that, but they don't assume you know who Mr. Rogers is, and they got to educate you. And it's like, no, I know Mr. Rogers. I did feel like Mr. Rogers talks weird. Like, as a kid, I was like, I don't, and his guests all talked weird too. Like, I didn't understand what was going on there, but now I know, oh, that's the Pittsburgh accent. That's how everybody talks around here, or at least a generation. Like, it's starting to go away, unfortunately.
Lady Elaine was like the scariest thing ever as a kid.
Yeah, she was terrifying, and then Lady Elaine Fairchild, she was terrifying. I loved the neighborhood of make believe. Like, I just wanted to fast forward to that part. I love that. I like that a lot. That was a big part of my childhood, and it was kind of cool, because when I moved to Pittsburgh, Mr. Rogers was still alive. He supposedly lived in the neighbor, like he lived not too far away.
He
I
lived
never
in the
saw him. He lived, yeah.
You were in
because
Mr. Rogers' neighborhood?
literally in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. I was in, and like people would see him from time to time. I never got to see him. But it's like Pittsburgh's East End. I think, like I lived in Squirrel Hill for like 20 years. And then he lived in like Shady Side, I think, which is like the next neighborhood over. They kind of, they border each other. But yeah, and he was, he'd come to Squirrel. I mean, everybody came to Squirrel Hill. He'd come to Squirrel Hill. But yeah, I just never had a sighting of Mr. Rogers. I do have a signed picture from Mr. McFeely. He's still around, the mailman from
That's
Mr.
fun.
Rogers. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the creators that went to IC3, his mom was a choreographer for Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, and that's where I kind of like started getting this I started interviewing more Pittsburgh people, and I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, every now and then you run into somebody like that who's got some connection to Mr. Rogers, Or I mean, I went to a guitar concert that Joe Negri had at like a local church or whatever. He was handyman Negri on Mr. Rogers, but he's also like this accomplished classical guitar player. So yeah, all those again, I don't know how many of them are still alive, the Mr. Rogers people. I know Mr. McFeely is. He might be the last man standing.
Tom, this was pretty amazing. Thanks.
Oh, cool.
I mean, we could have kept talking. I mean, like this could have gone on for a long time, but
yeah,
I don't want you to get swept away in the thunderstorm and everything.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, I had, again, I'd love to close this, but if I close it, then it's going to get way too hot. So I got the garage door open.
I totally understand, but there was a little point where I was like, "Is that static?" In my head, as the radio guy, I'm like, "Is that static?" And I was like, and then I heard the thunder, and then I started hearing it come down some more. I was like, "Oh, that's just rain. It's not technical. It's not a technical issue and stuff like that." But man, I'm really excited to read the rest of your book. Man.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to love it, and I think you're going to be glad that you didn't read the whole thing digitally, and that you read it as like a book.
No, that's because now all I do is read digitally. Like Marvel and DC and Image will just send me stuff, and then like when like I don't get splash double page spreads because they don't like set up properly.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they don't. There are no double page spreads in my book. I mean, not that was some deliberate. It just didn't end up happening. But I mean, there are plenty of like wide open, big moments. But yeah, no double page. But yeah, the double page splash, digital might kill the double page splash, because it's like that was always the most impressive page, and now it's the least impressive digital.
But yeah, so this is going to come out August 5th, I think is when it's going to come out. I'm going to try to get all the images. I'll get all the images uploaded. Do I have am I permission to show these images?
Oh, sure. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.